who's sitting with you in worship in this great big sanctuary on Sunday mornings? I mean, I know a lot of you have known each other for a long time, but who are these people sitting around you? Do you know, for instance, what's really going on in the lives of the people sitting with you in this room? What are they worrying about? What's on their minds? What do they need? What may be bending them down so far and weighing so heavily upon them they cannot stand straight and tall to welcome in the new day? Then again, do we really want to know these things? Do we really want to acknowledge and let ourselves feel the pain of one another and the pain of the world? It gets complicated. Are we really ready to get involved with the messiness of life the way Jesus got involved? Are we prepared to pay the price for this kind of involvement with one another? Are we prepared to pay the price for this kind of involvement with Jesus? Maybe not. Because, you see, once we know, once we see, once we feel, we might have to do something. Something may be required of us. We might become more deeply connected than a lot might be expected. On the Sabbath, Jesus goes into a synagogue to teach, a public place, a place of worship, a place to learn, a place to be together with others, a place where anyone can walk through the door, a setting in many ways not too unlike how we are gathered together right now this morning in this room. There's a woman in the room, a woman who has been ill for 18 years. 18 years. And she's bent over, unable to stand straight and tall. She has come to this public place where to some she will be invisible. To others, she will be an object of intrigue or ridicule or pity as she endures the stare of eyes fixed upon her. To others, she is the one to avoid, to pass by, leaving a wide space as the congregation passes the peace. The one to slip past as the congregation moves to their coffee hour, where, if you get caught up in a conversation with her, keep it brief, and above all, superficial. Don't get involved, or you might have to do something, maybe even enter into a relationship with her. Jesus sees the woman struggling for 18 years, bent down, and he calls her to him, touching her, restoring her, renewing life within her, drawing her into the community. How many of us are longing for that healing touch of Jesus? Bent down, maybe for a long time now, seeing nothing on the horizon to raise us up again, no hope to stand us up straight and tall, facing the new day, walking with confidence into the life before us. Maybe you're bent down under the weight of financial difficulties, even financial ruin. Jobs have been lost, or the pay is too little to meet your obligations. Your job is wearing on you and there is nowhere to turn. Maybe you're bent down, carrying the weight of a broken relationship, not knowing how to move forward, unsure if you can go back, not knowing if you should let go, unsure of how to stay, afraid there is no future for you any longer, nearly certain there is no hope. Maybe you're bent down under the pressure and stress of having to hide your identity, your way of life, the very person you are, so you will not be rejected, suspected, or neglected, or even worse. Maybe You're bent down with a heavy load of illness and pain, debilitating disease, irreversible physical and mental situations that won't let up and won't let go. Maybe you're bent down with a full load of grief, despair, loneliness. Maybe you're bent down under the insidious web of addiction, caught in a cycle you cannot escape, snared in a trap that won't release you. Maybe you're just bent down with life. Jesus sees the woman bent down, and he calls her to him, touching her, renewing her, restoring life within her, drawing her into the community. The living Christ sees you bent down under whatever burden you may be carrying and reaches out to touch you, restore you, renew your life, draw you into community where you can really belong. The comforting God does come, often through other people, but the comforting God does come bringing hope, transformation, and setting us free. The true beauty of hope is that once it comes to you, you want to share hope with others. The real test of transformation is that once your own heart is renewed, you want to transform the world. The confirmation of genuine freedom is that once you are set free, you no longer hold others captive, but work so that everyone can live freely. As we see the ones bent down around us in our community, beyond our doors, throughout our world, Jesus invites us into action, bringing hope and love, compassion and comfort to make a real, tangible difference in the lives of others. But following Jesus down this path, being the comfort of the living Christ to those bent down, leads us right into their pain in very real, touchable ways. Whereas we provide for their comfort, though we also discover comfort and hope entering our own souls. Kathy Topping, one of our deacons, told me of an experience she had about 10 days ago, and she graciously gave me permission to share this experience with you this morning. Kathy recently had fallen and broken her ankle. Surgery was scheduled for late in the afternoon several days later. On the morning of her surgery, with her anxiety levels skyrocketing to epic proportions, as she waited at home, the clock ticking closer and closer to the time, she tried several things hoping to calm herself down. It didn't work. Concerned about one of our shut-in members with whom she checks in regularly as one of her deacon responsibilities, and uncertain about the next time she would be able to call her, Kathy responsibly picked up the phone, even in her distress, hoping to provide some comfort to another, to let this member know she is remembered and cared for by her 4th Street community. They talked and laughed for an hour about this and that as the conversation moved from one topic to another. And when the conversation ended, suddenly Kathy realized she was no longer anxious. In fact, she was perfectly calm and remained that way right up to the time of the surgery. As she became the comforting presence of the living Christ to someone else, Kathy's own being was flooded with amazing comfort and peace. God's grace abounds. Jesus' compassion and comfort expand exponentially. But Jesus' compassionate healing touch is not the whole story here in Luke's gospel. The same God who is the God of grace is also the God of justice. The same Jesus who comes with comforting words and deeds comes also with firm confrontations and demanding expectations. And we're not always ready for the whole Jesus the whole God. We like the comforting God. We long to live in the healing presence of the living Christ, to live in the hope and assurance of God's blessing on our lives. But we're a little less keen about Jesus' confronting message, less enthusiastic to hear a word of judgment on ourselves, less eager to be called out. When the head of the synagogue gets upset and angry, complaining about Jesus breaking the rules, healing in the wrong way at the wrong time, it's a little startling to hear Jesus' words. As Luke tells the story, gentle, kind, compassionate Jesus, who has just restored a broken soul with a word of hope, a healing touch, suddenly is shouting, "You hypocrites!" humiliating the protester, putting him to shame for his failure of compassion, his failure of justice. Of course, those words were not spoken to us. Those words are okay, probably even appropriate for someone else, someone we think needs to change, live their life differently, be a different kind of person. But not for us. We're okay. We're managing our lives, our relationships, our words, our activities just fine, thank you very much. We're working hard to change unjust systems and structures, laws and customs in the world, in our country, in our communities, in our church, right? We're working hard to end oppression for all people in our midst, in our nation, throughout our world, aren't we? Jesus' strong words couldn't possibly be directed to us. But then, Lent is a time of self-examination. Maybe we need to hear all of Jesus' message, the whole gospel, the totality of the real Jesus, so we know who it is that we are following as we take this Lenten walk, as we try to learn from Jesus how to live our lives in ways pleasing to God, in ways that transform our souls and make us whole. Just as the comforting Jesus comes to us, bringing hope, transformation, and with an invitation to live as free persons, so too the unsettling Jesus comes to us, showing us our failures of justice, our failures of compassion, our failures to be a transforming force in our world, not just so that others may have hope, but so that we ourselves may be transformed and set free. So now, about Jesus. What do you think? Comforting? Unsettling? How would you vote? Comforting? Unsettling? I say the answer is yes. Not either or, but both and. Following Jesus is both comforting and unsettling. Comforting us when we are distraught and in great need of a comforting word and a gentle, healing touch. Unsettling us in our failures of compassion and justice, so that our world can be made whole, so that our hearts can be made whole. Thanks be to God for the unsettling and comforting Jesus.